Sports Live Show. My name is Andrew Valentin, and I hope you're all having a wonderful Wednesday. We are coming to you live here from the Illinois Media School here in Lombard, Illinois. Again, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen, day or night, I hope it is just right. And with me, as always, ladies and gentlemen, he is ever amazing. He knows his stuff when it comes to all that football, all that basketball, and so much more, folks. He is such a sweet-looking individual, and he's quite cute-looking, too.
Sweet as pie.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Drew Gwillem. Drew, how you doing, man?
I'm good. A little tired.
Yeah.
But that's nothing new.
I'm right there with you, man.
I'm here, ready to talk some playoff football.
Absolutely.
What's better than that?
Oh, what is better than that?
I don't know.
Regular season's pretty good, but playoff football always just brings like that extra. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For me, it's not every game, but then you get those that are they just pop.
Oh, absolutely.
And you'll never forget them.
And I mean, this is a week that we will never forget.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely incredible week we had. I mean, let's just jump right into it, folks. So here we go for the first half of this one. Yes, the NFL playoffs. And we're just going to kick it off right in the beginning because who they think going to beat them Bengals, folks? Who they think? Because Who Dey Nation should be proud because after 31 years of not winning a game, it is the Cincinnati Bengals that come out on top 26-19 against the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, a very energetic game. A lot of things were happening in this one. But, Drew, just off the get-go, I mean, Cincinnati, Las Vegas, what were your thoughts on the game? Obviously, a big moment happens there in the game. Give me your thoughts on that as well. Give me all that, man.
I missed the start of the game, but as for most of this, or the second half, definitely, some of the plays that Joe Burrow was making out there, that play on the sideline that they controversial was a whistle blown and all that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
What the guy is, that's why they call him Joe Cool, because he is cool, calm, collected out there.
Joe Swagger, baby.
Yeah, he looks awesome out there. And he has a bunch of help.
Yeah.
And guys are playing up to the occasion. The moment didn't seem too big for them, and they went out and they won convincing.
Yeah. I'm absolutely right there with you. Obviously, I'll address it right off the bat. The big play, the whole Oakland thing. Yes, the play should have been dead. It should have been a replay of down. I totally agree with that. The problem is, though, is that no matter what happens, I think in that moment, whether they kick a field goal or they score a touchdown in that moment, I feel like they still would have scored points on that one. The Raiders are kicking a field goal at the end of the game maybe anyway, so it's still a tied game. You take that into overtime, yeah, anything could happen. But I felt like the Bengals had the momentum going on their side. The Raiders were struggling to stop Joe Burrow in that passing game. Nobody was shutting down Jamar Chase at that point. He was going to get in the end zone if you did not get to him immediately. So
he's tough to cover for good DBs.
Exactly.
And the Raiders don't have those.
Right, exactly. So. And their best guy, I mean, Nathan Hobbs, who really was kind of stepping up as a rookie, unfortunately had the DUI situation, you know, how that's going and stuff, who knows, but I mean, even still, the Raiders just didn't have anything that could shut them down. Their offense was 2-2, and I mean, you saw it. Ozuma was open plenty of times. Tyler Boyd's open in the end zone. And by the way, too, in that play, if you're the Raiders defensive back, do you not think of maybe just batting the ball down? Even if the play's called dead, just try for the ball. Like, keep going before, until the whistle's blown. I know the whistle was blown well after the play was happening and stuff, but still, the ball's in the air. Make a play, and then it's not maybe called a touchdown. Maybe it's an incomplete pass. Yeah. Just keep playing until that ball goes down to the ground. You know, it's simple.
But it's tough. It's tough too, because what do they always coach? Play to the whistle. You hear the whistle, it's like cool, but it's like, oh, now what do you do? Okay, but it's because these refs now are kind of getting in the way of a lot of these games. Certain crews have been booted from the playoffs because they had such horrible first round games.
Absolutely. And the ref who blew the whistle now is being no longer is, I believe, reffing any of these playoff games.
Yeah.
So
Jerome
he's
Bogert,
out completely.
Right?
Yeah,
that was that crew, I believe.
Yes. So he's out completely now. So and I know, and listen, I'm one who says the refs aren't always the one to blame because no matter what, the Raiders could have gotten the end zone plenty of times. But penalty after penalty, I mean, my God, Alex Leatherwood, Mr. First-round pick for the Raiders, holding penalties out the wazoo, false starts constantly. One of the things that cost them, they really shot themselves in the foot because they kept making mistakes. The offense kept having penalties. The defense was not stopping Joe Burrow. They were not putting pressure on him the way they should. I love Max Crosby a lot, but you need to get that guy to Joe Burrow, make him feel those hits. If he does, maybe he's not on point like he is. Maybe he's a little bit more shaken, right? If you all of a sudden you make him feel like, I get hit one more time, maybe my knee goes out, he might play a little bit more conservative. You never know, but they didn't really put pressure on him, and when they did, he rolled out of the pocket, and like we saw, he makes that amazing jump pass play to throw the ball in the end zone. That's who Joe Burrow is now, folks.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to accept the fact that he's just an awesome quarterback.
And he has a lot of weapons.
And he's a top 5 quarterback, and he's gonna be the next Tom Brady. And now I'm just fanboying. I'm sorry. I need to stop that. All right. Well, obviously moving on to
tell yourself off.
I know.
Okay?
Yeah, I will. Well, I'm trying to, but this next one has me just as sweaty as before. I mean, talk about absolute dominance over your rival. I mean, we have seen this happen too many times with teams, but who would ever thought we were saying the Buffalo Bills were going to absolutely smack the New England Patriots in the mouth? 47-17 is the name of the game in this one. Bills absolutely dominate this one. Josh Allen, 5 touchdowns, was one of the leading rushers on this team because actually Devin Singletary came alive in this one and scored 2 touchdowns of his own as well. An absolute amazing playoff game I've never seen anything like this by the Bills. They never punted. They didn't kick a field goal. They played the absolute perfect offensive game. Drew, what else can be said about this one?
I think you pretty much said it. Yeah, between that and the top scoring defense this year,
yes,
holding them to 17 points in a playoff game, you're going to win. I feel like every time. If you can hold them under any team under 20 points.
Yeah.
And then especially when you score 47, like they cannot stop you.
Yeah.
Like that was the biggest surprise was that a Bill Belichick defense couldn't stop them once.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
I mean, you think about Bill Belichick and you think this is the mastermind coach, right? You think this is the great defensive minded man of our generation. This is maybe the greatest coach in NFL history, right? And he couldn't find a way to shut down Josh Allen, who we've seen him do before. We saw him do it in that very early week on where they played, but this isn't high winds. This is Buffalo.
Just
yes,
cold.
But
it was cold, and everybody was worried about it.
It was
going to be too cold for them? I think they did all right.
Yeah, and you know what? Who I think got affected by the cold, maybe or maybe not, but I'm assuming did.
Let me guess. Let me guess. Okay. I'm ready for you to talk down about him again.
I'm not talking. I'm not talking bad. I'm not.
So I'm right.
Yeah. So Mac, listen. Well, here's the thing with Mac Jones, right? So he grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. He went to school in Alabama.
I'm just gonna laugh.
I know. Hey, fine. You want me to say it? I do not like Mac Jones. There, I've said it. All right. I'm not the one talking about trading him, am I? That's all the rest of the media. So there you go.
I just know it's funny how I can predict the future.
Yeah, right. Along with all the other people that obviously know what's coming. No, I mean seriously, but I think that's a factor that played into it. I think he has that same kind of factor that we see with Joe Burrow, right? He stays cool, he stays calm. But it's his first ever playoff game. It's the New England Patriots, which everybody expects them to be very good in the playoffs. And not only that, but it's freezing temperatures. I think the lowest they said it got was like 9 or something like that at one point, or like something. It got very, very cold at one point during that night. And I just feel like in that setting is where you kind of saw him kind of at his, I don't want to say at his worst, but he wasn't playing as well as he has before. And I think this reflects on what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, because anytime he's been in sort of that cold weather, he hasn't really played well, right? Good defenses plus cold weather seem to have kind of been his kryptonite. And you're talking about the number 1 defense in the NFL in Buffalo, plus freezing conditions. I mean, you saw it. He throws that pass to the end zone. I think it was to Nelson Aguilar, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like it's going to be a touchdown, and then Micah Hyde, good grace, that guy is amazing, comes out of nowhere and just picks off the pass. You know, you could say, well, he needs to put more on that ball, and it's like, yeah, but, you know, at the same time, that's what Buffalo does. But if you know that's going to happen, you got to throw it earlier. But this is sometimes the limitations of what comes with a quarterback like Mac Jones. I'm not saying he's terrible. I'm just saying he's got a low ceiling. I don't think he's going to be a Pro Bowl quarterback for years and years and years. He might hit a Pro Bowl. I don't think he's there just yet, but it's his first playoff game. He played decent enough that something might be there, but you clearly got to get them weapons. And Buffalo's just too good.
Agreed. They need weapons, and the playing in the cold is a thing. And if you're not used to it, you have to get used to it.
Absolutely.
And that's going to come with time because he's not going anywhere. He's going to be there. So
yeah,
I agree. I do think it plays a factor into it somewhat. And going forward, I think they'll be fine. They made the playoffs. They had a very good record with him as their rookie quarterback.
Absolutely.
So going forward, I think they're going to be fine. Yes, they do need to get him more weapons, but trying to compete with this Buffalo team is going to be tough because they look really good right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, if the AFC East is, if everything can hit for them, I mean, we're talking about like the Jets and the Dolphins can get their stuff together, whatever's going on with them. This is going to be a very competitive division, folks. Like we think about the West being pretty competitive in the NFC, right? And we think about the AFC being pretty decently competitive as well. This one I think could be right there, but the Jets got to get their stuff together, and Miami's got to figure out what they want as a quarterback.
They both have a ways to go.
Absolutely. But for the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills, be ready for this to be I feel like it's going to be a back and forth for a lot of years. It's Bill Belichick versus Josh Allen and company, folks. It'll be battle of the bands on that one. But next on the list, what else did we expect? Tampa Bay taking on Philadelphia, and leave it to Brady to be the captain of the ship because he was able to throw 2 touchdowns in this game to be able to win the game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 31-15. Obviously, we were expecting probably this from Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. We know they've kind of had a lot happen with Godwin go down and Antonio Brown losing his mind for the umpteenth time.
Okay.
But I ask you this, Drew. As far as Tampa Bay goes, winning this game against Philadelphia, do you think that they have enough in terms of their team roster-wise? And then do you think they have enough in terms of like the energy, mentality stuff to be able to go forward and maybe have another repeat season like we saw last year?
I think it's a little tougher for him this year.
Okay.
Godwin's a big loss.
Yeah.
He's a very big loss. He's a good receiver. Antonio Brown's a really good receiver, even at this stage.
Yeah.
Even as nutty as he is.
Yes.
Losing those 2 weapons hurts.
Yeah.
Mike Evans is playing out of his mind.
Absolutely.
Gronk is playing really well. So he has weapons. I think they are still a very good team and the top contender in the NFC.
Yeah.
As far as being able to win it, I think it's going to be tough.
Okay.
But I think it's Tom being Tom, and he's always going to have a shot because of who he is, and plus they still have a good defense. Because of that, he's always gonna be in it. Like Bruce Arians said, as long as I have Tom Brady, I'm always gonna have a chance, and that's the way it goes, and that's the way it's been.
Yeah,
and that's the way it's gonna play out again this year.
Okay, it's very true. Tom Brady does make a huge difference on that team. I mean, people have been saying it for years. Tampa looked like they were a team that they were just a quarterback away, and
they got the best ever.
They got the best ever to do it, and he has certainly made the difference. And I agree. I mean, Mike Evans, Rob Gronkowski, I do think it does limit them a lot. I agree. The challenge is definitely going to be a lot more difficult. But I think it also makes, if it does happen, I'm just saying, if it does happen, it certainly makes it a lot sweeter as well because Tom, having Gronk and Mike Evans, and then watching that game, I mean, you saw guys stepping up that came out of who remembers that Giovanni Bernard's on the roster? And then Giovanni Bernard's making plays.
Hurt a lot.
Right.
He's getting hurt during the year, but dude can catch the ball and he's fast.
Absolutely.
And Tom, it's like his James White from New England. He loved James White. He loved throwing on the ball. And that's how he's using Gio Bernard.
Yeah.
And he loves that. And that's that backup plan when, hey, nothing's open, dump it to him and let him go.
Yeah. And it worked. I mean, you saw him he scored a touchdown for crying out loud. I mean, you saw Keyshawn Vaughn. Everybody's like, who's he again? Oh, he's the guy that comes in like as the 3rd down back every now and then.
Yeah.
He's been running the ball extremely well. I mean, they definitely need to make it more consistent. Having Fournette back or whoever that can get back at that point, they need that big back in there to slam the ball like they did. And Fournette's obviously a huge weapon in that offense.
And he's had a great year.
Absolutely.
He's had a really good year.
Absolutely. But they're one of those teams. It seems like when you have Tom Brady, it's not about, well, we've lost a man. It's all right, next man up.
Yeah.
Next man up, and we'll just roll with the punches and we'll see what happens. I mean, if they need to, let's not forget they could probably roll with 3 tight ends out there on the field at any given time because they have 3 guys that are 6'5" or 6'6" and over, and Rob Gronkowski, OJ Howard, and Cameron Brate. Jesus, they have an elite weapon. And listen, I'll give credit to the Eagles real quick too. Do I think Jalen Hurts deserves to be cut or traded or anything like that? Honestly, I don't think he does. Not necessarily.
No.
Do I think, though, the Eagles will possibly look to adding competition to him? I think it's a real possibility because the owner of the Eagles, his name escapes me at the moment, he is very determined to get the Eagles to being a winning team again. He's tasted the Super Bowl. He wants more. I get it. But it's not going to happen immediately, especially when you just had quarterback turnover now with Jalen Hurts. It's his first full year. It's his first opportunity in the playoffs. The fact that you're there should really say something for your team. Now you just have to build up, I think, the offensive line, get another couple pass rushers, get another wide receiver. I think this team could be good, but I don't think you necessarily need to ditch Jalen Hurts and go for another quarterback unless you're talking about like Aaron Rodgers, who I think could make that kind of a difference. And even then, I don't even know if he would because Philly's kind of a, love me if you do, love me, hurt me if you don't kind of a town. So it's interesting to see, but I give a little credit to Philly for what they were able to do. But I didn't think they were going to beat Brady, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. It's just, you're not beating the GOAT. You're not beating the GOAT.
It's tough.
It's tough. I'm not his biggest fan, but you got to respect the GOAT.
I am.
I know you are.
The golden boy.
Yeah, well, you're dipped in blue and maize, so it doesn't
excuse me, it's maize and blue.
Maize and blue, excuse me.
Get it correct.
I'm sorry. I need to respect you considering your team made the playoff. My team, unfortunately, didn't even win its ball game. All right, moving on.
So we don't need to go there.
Yeah, we don't need to even go into that pain.
I'm so upset.
Right. Next up there, another controversial game, believe it or not. Who would have thunk the Dallas Cowboys and the 49ers would be in quite the messy game? I mean, it was full of a whole lot of penalties, a lot of mistakes left and right on both sides. And when it comes down to the wire, it comes down to a referee touching the football that loses the game for the Dallas Cowboys 23-17. Or did it? That is now the question and controversy that seems to be flowing through Dallas. So, Drew, I'll ask you this. What were your thoughts on the game? And obviously, the big moment at the end of the game. Give me your thoughts on that as well.
49ers are playing really well.
Mm-hmm.
They are playing really well, and I don't know that it's a team I want to run into.
Yeah.
They're gonna play you tough. They had some injuries on defense. We'll see if Bosa and Warner can play this week. 2 of the best defenders on their team, so that would be a big loss for them going up against most likely the MVP this year. But as far as Dallas goes, it's like, again, Groundhog's Day with them. We're going to have a really good record. We're going to play really well throughout the season. And when it comes down to the end, we're going to lose first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Seems like no matter who they have coaching, no matter who's there, no matter how their team's going, first round playoffs, you're out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought they were back on track last week after putting up big numbers for the last game of the season.
Right.
They put up points. They looked pretty good. They did not look very good. They struggled. And I don't know what more can you say for them. Like some of the play call decisions, Dak running up the middle at the end there. Like I don't know. What are you looking at there?
Yeah.
Like why with no timeouts, and then obviously the last play there. The ref is by rule has to spot the ball.
Yeah.
He didn't. They should know that and give it and hand it right to him so they can do that. But I mean, it's tough to go out like that and not have another chance. But you know what? Should have played better.
Absolutely.
Throughout the whole game, and it was just more of the same. And they have nobody to blame but themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree anymore. Listen, the only reason I said, obviously, for the lower third, if you're wondering what that means, there's a lot of controversy, and the controversy is around who called that last play. It's not big controversy. It's kind of a small thing. It's kind of been up there and just kind of died. But in the inner circles, there seems to be a lot of talking through the media like, okay, so the word is that Kellen Moore possibly called the play, and then it was Mike McCarthy who okayed the play. But then I'm hearing Mike McCarthy called the play, and then possibly Kellen Moore said, no, let's go with something else. But then Mike McCarthy, being the head coach, has final say, so he just went with that play. Either way, you have McCarthy trying to defend it at the press conference, which was very hard to watch him do, and it made no sense.
Because you can't.
Yeah, because he tries to say, it's my decision, it's the right call, and it's the right decision, and it's like, that doesn't make any sense. Just run the seam up the sideline and try to get out of bounds and get as close as you can. Like, I don't understand why you don't take that shot. I'm sorry. It's not the right call. You need to throw in that. When you have no timeouts and you're in the middle of the field, a quarterback draw is not going to do it unless you have like even 30 seconds left. I probably would still throw the ball. Like, it just seems like there's not enough time on the clock. And even he slides way too late. It's like 10 seconds left on the clock. You're trying to get the ball down, but you're trying to get the snap off before the refs even touch the ball. And that's not going to happen. So the Cowboys fans, I saw they were complaining about offensive line was, he bumped into Dak and all that stuff. And it's like, well, then tell the offensive line to get out of the way. Tell Dak not to go anywhere near the ball. Tell them to throw the ball to the ref so he can spot it, so then you can spike it and see if you can get another playoff. It's on the Dallas Cowboys. This is, again, where you can try and blame the refs all you want. And certainly the refs this year have not been all that great. There's been a ton of moments that have cost some teams some hard moments. But then if you look back on a lot of those games, at least for me, I always feel like there's a moment in there where you can say, right, but you could have scored there.
Yeah.
Or you could have gotten an interception there. You could have got a stop there. You could have done something that would have given you the edge in that opportunity. And I think Dallas is just finding every reason to just say, it's like the Raiders. Like, they're always coming after us, the NFL. They don't want us to win the championship. No, the NFL doesn't care if you win a championship. It's the team of the Dallas Cowboys that, for some reason, doesn't seem to want to win.
The team that makes the most mistakes usually ends up losing.
Exactly.
Especially in the playoffs.
Exactly.
And that was proven right here.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of penalties in this game on both sides, but Dallas had more penalties. Dallas shot themselves in the foot early. They had too many mistakes were being made. And not only that, but when your best player, one of your best players at least, Ezekiel Elliott, is playing on a PCL tear.
And not looking good at all.
And I know, and our guy King B-Mac yesterday alluded to the fact that Pollard was also dealing with an injury as well in his leg. So he wasn't able to probably full go. But either way, I feel like if that's the case, then you go with another back. You find somebody else.
They have Corey Clement on their roster who has played meaningful snaps for the Eagles.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Caught a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl. I mean, he's not one of those bigger backs, but it's better than nothing, right?
He can definitely catch passes.
Yeah. So Dallas, it's not the ref's fault. It's not the fans' fault. It's the team's fault. And it's clearly, I think, Mike McCarthy's fault. I think he's getting canned. I think Dan Quinn's probably taking that job at that point, or Kellen Moore's probably going to take the job. All I know is, fans, can you throw the garbage at the right people? I mean, if you're going to... This is why none of you are ever going to make the Dallas Cowboys football team, because if you can't throw a bottle at the right people, you hit DeMarcus Lawrence, you idiots, not the refs. Come on. All right, next. Jeez almighty. If you want to talk about an absolute smackdown, folks, look no further than Kansas City, because the Kansas City Chiefs absolutely rained bombs on the Steelers' defense as Patrick Mahomes throws 5 touchdowns in this game.
Travis Kelce threw one.
Travis Kelce also threw one as well. Just an absolute onslaught by this offense. 42-21, the final score. Steelers kept it close in the very beginning, but obviously separation came there at the second quarter. So, Drew, obviously, it's a sad way to see Big Ben go out for the Steelers. But this Chiefs team looked like it's back on track as far as offense and even the defense possibly. What are your thoughts for the Chiefs going forward in this one?
Kind of expected this to happen against the Steelers.
Yeah.
We saw a few weeks ago. It kind of played out the same. Mm-hmm. They scored a lot of points and the Steelers didn't. So it was just played that out once again.
Yeah.
And again, the way to see Big Ben go out. I think he knew it was coming. Mm-hmm. Like in the press conference, he even said things like, we're not very good, and blah blah.
It's true.
So But as far as the Chiefs going forward, yes, Mahomes looks back on track. They look like they've tweaked some things to make their offense a little more productive than what was happening at a few points throughout the season. So they look to be at full strength, full power going forward. And this next week's, the way the Chiefs and the Bills both played, and now they're going to go wham.
Yeah.
And I can't wait.
It's two immovable forces about to meet each other, and somebody's getting out of the way on this one, folks. And two
defenses that are playing pretty well too.
Absolutely, so a number one
should
defense.
Be interesting.
Yeah, number one defense taking on. As far as the playoff goes, I would say they're like a top 3 defense at this point, top 4 defense.
Yeah,
that's just the playoffs though, so take that for what you will.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's going to be interesting, and we'll get to that obviously tomorrow. But kudos to the Chiefs. Big Ben, congrats on a great career. If this really truly is the end, thank you so much for the great memories, maybe the greatest Super Bowl play that ever happened. Absolutely outstanding career.
One of the greatest Super Bowls ever.
Absolutely, period.
As far as I've seen.
Yeah, for sure. And clearly a Hall of Famer. So can't wait to see you getting into Canton in the next 5 years. It's going to be interesting. And last but not least, folks, final game. Oh, boy. So I was totally wrong on this one. I'll fully admit that. I really thought this was going to be a upset potential. But lo and behold, the Arizona Cardinals.
Not so much.
Yeah, not so much. The Arizona Cardinals ended up losing this one 34-11 in a pretty painful loss, I got to say.
Ugly loss.
Drew, on my from my eyesight, it looked like they looked disastrous.
Yeah.
They looked overwhelmed. I mean, I know that this was first playoff for a lot of these guys, but I'll ask you, what were your thoughts for seeing Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray in their first ever playoff series against this Rams team? And then what'd you think about how Matthew Stafford finally gets his first playoff win?
As far as the Cardinals go, Cliff Kingsbury, it's kind of like win early, lose late.
Yeah.
And that's been that's the trend for him so far. And that's not a way it's not winning football.
Yeah.
So they have to get something figured out, whether he stays or they figure out a new coach, whatever. It sounds like he's going to stay. It seems like it. But they have some work to do. They have to change some things around, change what they do, adjustments. Like we always say, make adjustments.
Yes.
It was their first playoff game, so but they looked really bad.
Yeah.
They looked really bad, offense and defense. Which was a surprise because the defense played really well all year, and despite the injuries, the offense had played better of late.
Yeah.
Rams looked pretty good. That defense looked a lot better.
Absolutely.
That's for sure. They've been giving up points throughout the season, but they look like they are locked in.
Oh, yeah.
They locked down everybody. They couldn't score. The Cardinals couldn't score. Kyler Murray was getting chased around by Aaron Donald all game. And it was, say what you will about Stafford, he's played well enough to be a playoff quarterback, and to see him get a win finally was cool, and get to play there. And they're gonna be tough going forward. I see them definitely battle until the end.
Okay, all right, yeah. Props goes to the Rams. Matthew Stafford, congratulations on getting your first playoff win, obviously. It's a huge opportunity for him. I mean, he played really well. He didn't really have to do that much. He only threw 17 passes in this game, and yet he still got in the end zone twice. So it says a lot for how good this Rams team is. This is why he left Detroit, right? He wasn't getting the help. He goes to a team that has all the help, and it clearly pays off. This team did a great job.
To see Cam Akers from what Achilles rupture in camp till coming back and playing in these playoff games and playing well.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. By the way, that 40-yard touchdown pass by OBJ to Cam Akers.
Yeah.
Incredible. I'm not saying OBJ's back or anything like that. I don't think he'll ever be back to who he was. So everybody who's saying he's back. He's not back. I think he's the new OBJ. This is a new version of Odell Beckham Jr. We talked about this yesterday. It seems like he's having fun playing football.
Finally.
Exactly. He's not worrying about the other things. He's not sweating the big stuff or anything. He's not worrying about the little things or anything. He's just having fun because he doesn't have to worry about being the number one guy in this offense because that's Cooper Kupp's job. And even Cooper Kupp's like, I don't really have a problem. Like, that guy is so nonchalant. It's scary. He's one of those dudes that's like a boxer. Anybody who says, I'm just thankful that God allowed me to be here. You don't mess with that dude. That's who Cooper Kupp is. You don't mess with that guy. I'm extremely excited to see what happens with the Rams going forward. This defense looks like they're locked in and ready to go. And as for the Cardinals, listen, Cliff Kingsbury looked like he had saucers in his eyes. He looked well overwhelmed. He looked like he was like, what do I do out here? I don't know how to coach this game. Same thing goes for Kyler Murray. He looked nervous. He looked like he was like, oh, man, this situation's huge. I don't know if I can deal with this.
You'd be nervous, too, if Aaron Donald was chasing you.
I was going to say.
God.
That man is a massive beast.
And then you see somebody try to mess with Aaron Donald during the game. It's like, come on, dude.
DJ Humphries.
What are you doing?
No better, man. I get it. You're a really good tackle.
Like Louis Riddick said, this is the wrong guy.
Exactly.
And I was like, yes.
Yes, not anybody you could pick on, just not 99. How about that? Don't mess with 99.
Not smart.
No, but I'll say this. Arizona, you get back DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe that makes a difference in this game. It's possible. It would have definitely helped out a lot. Kyler, I think, would have been able to score at least 2 touchdowns. Expect to see what happens next year. I'm excited to see what they can do. They looked good this year. At the end, they didn't look that great. So here's hoping that next year can bring a lot more for them. Real quick before we move into the next one, no break on this one, folks, because of the timing. Real quick, our guy King B-Mac had to say this. He said, for Tom Brady, he said, so not fair. Brady gets to throw to Gronk, Brait, or Howard. Meanwhile, we as Bears fans are all over here hoping Matt Nagy just sucks and Cole Kmet doesn't actually have cinder blocks for hands. Well said, B-Mac. Well said. Honestly, I'm okay with them possibly. Cameron Brate's from Illinois.
Yeah.
You want to come home? I'm okay with it. I'm more than happy. Okay with it.
Why the hell would he want to come here?
That's true. I mean, he's the third
He's playing
string
with
tight
Tom,
end.
winning Super Bowls, and like, I'll do a little.
Yeah. No.
Guess what? I'll probably score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and we'll win.
So, you know what? I wouldn't. If he does that, you know what? Now I'm going to put a bet on that he scores the first touchdown in the Super Bowl. Cameron Brate, if you could do that for us, please, so I could have a little bit of extra money in my pocket.
From some hometown people.
Absolutely. Help out your homies here in the state of Illinois. You smart as ever wit. All right. Well, we're just going to move right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, it is the fun game that you've all said you've enjoyed. It is player swap time, folks. Yes, that's right. That's where we take top players, we swap them with players on other teams, and we predict the outcome. And today's player, I don't have a drum roll, so the drum roll is, folks, there you go, Christian McCaffrey. That's right. The Carolina Panthers running back has been the most requested player for player swap. I had over 30 emails from you guys asking it. With one, I think one of my favorite ones, this was all started, by the way, by a guy, Doug, who's actually from Charlotte, North Carolina. He said, please take Christian McCaffrey and put him on another team.
Oh, Doug. Doug.
Very well done. So, yes, but we got a ton of emails on this, so I thought, let's do this. Let's put Christian McCaffrey on all of these different teams, and let's see how this one plays out. Mm-hmm. So, first up, we have Christian McCaffrey on the Las Vegas Raiders. So, as of today, the Las Vegas Raiders top rusher, that is Josh Jacobs, 217 yards, 172 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns. He's had a couple of catches here and there, nothing in the end zone yet, but obviously a halfway decent runner, so I toss it to you, Drew. Christian McCaffrey going to the Vegas Raiders and Josh Jacobs on the Carolina Panthers. How do you see this one happening? How do you see this one working out for both of them?
I think Christian McCaffrey is one of the supreme talents in the NFL between running and catching the ball at his position. He's a 1,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver in 1 year, and that was without injuries.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs has had his share of injuries as well. So I Christian McCaffrey is the better player. I think at his peak, Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in the league.
Okay.
So I think for the most part, he's going to make any one of these teams better. But depends on health, because the last 2 seasons he's been plagued by injuries and has not played very much at all.
Yeah.
Which will be a concern. But overall, for the talent, I think it definitely makes the Raiders better. It makes them more of a threat.
Yeah.
And definitely a scarier team. Now, and we want to go to the Raiders or I'm sorry. Or we're just doing the Raiders.
What does Josh
Jacobs do for Carolina?
Yeah.
I still think he's basically the same.
Okay.
I mean, I think the offensive lines are kind of comparable. Maybe Carolina's is a little worse.
Okay.
So he might struggle slightly more, but I think having better receivers there might open up some more things for him. So he might have a little bit more open in Carolina.
Okay. I'm actually kind of in the same boat. I think Christian McCaffrey going to Oakland. Jeez, I keep doing that. I don't know why. Going to Las Vegas, I think would be really good for him. They would have to get their offensive line up to par. Obviously, listen, yes. You have to remember Christian McCaffrey has a lot of injuries. So going there, I think if Derek Carr is still there and you got Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller, I think you're talking about a pretty good receiving core, right? You're talking about a pretty good passing attack coming out of the backfield and being able to go up the field. I think we're looking at a pretty elite group, right? So I like Christian McCaffrey.
I don't know about elite.
Maybe not elite. Okay.
I don't know about elite.
How about good? We'll go with good. Good. We'll do good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah. It's just because listen, McCaffrey's biggest issue is always going to be the injuries. It's always going to be the thing that hurts him the most. But in Oakland, I think you could at least get him to around 800, 900 rushing yards. He could at least be around 500, 600 receiving yards. I think you could definitely get into like that double-digit touchdowns again and rushing and receiving. It's just all about. You're talking about setting up the screen passes, setting up the tosses, the sweeps, things like that. That's kind of what you're looking at. Josh Jacobs on Carolina. I honestly think he gets lost in there. I really do. I feel like Josh Jacobs in Carolina gets lost. I don't have any faith in. Not that I don't have any faith in Josh Jacobs. I think he's a good running back. But he's kind of like the toast of the NFL. Like, and I'm talking like bread toast. Like, yeah, I like toast, but I obviously would like eggs or pancakes or something else if I could get the opportunity to have.
Can
it
he
for
be
breakfast.
cinnamon sugar toast? Because that's delicious.
That is very good. That would even help too. But it's just he's too much of a. He's a really good back, but like you said, injuries hurts him a lot. In Carolina, I don't know how good the offensive line is. Not having a quarterback means a lot of the pressure gets put on you. And I don't know if he's a running back that can carry a team. That's my biggest thing. So I would say he's probably like 500 rushing yards, maybe like 200 receiving yards. He's not going to do a lot, I don't think. I think Chuba Hubbard at that point probably has a better chance of actually starting over Josh Jacobs. And I'm being honest on that one. All right, next. We got Christian McCaffrey on the Arizona Cardinals. This was actually pitched to me in one of the emails to ask if I could put him on the Arizona Cardinals. So obviously, you got to understand there were two running backs in Arizona this year that were really good. Obviously, James Conner led the team in rushing yards and touchdowns, 752 yards, 15 touchdowns. Edmonds led the team in rushing, was second on the team in rushing yards, 592 yards, 2 touchdowns. Both of them were very good receivers also as well. So that's their combined stats as a whole. So, Drew, I ask you this. Let's just say, for the sake of it, James Conner in this case. So James Conner goes to the Carolina Panthers. Christian McCaffrey goes to Arizona. What's the outcome look like?
Well, I think Christian McCaffrey and Kyler Murray together would be very, very scary.
Absolutely.
Plus DeAndre Hopkins on the outside, and you still have Christian Kirk. Like, that would be like a missing piece.
Yeah.
As well as their backs played, 15 touchdowns for James Conner is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I think McCaffrey takes them that next step, and that offense is, again, if they're playing better than what they have shown at the end of this season and in the playoff game, then Christian McCaffrey could take them all the way if he's healthy. And that it would be scary, scary, scary to see the two of them playing the option. Yeah. Or, the NFL's version of the option. Geez. And they would be unstoppable, I think. Yeah. James Conner going to over to Carolina. It's, again, like you said about Jacobs, I think Conner kind of gets lost. I think it's that kind of deal with him as well, because, again, the offensive line probably isn't that great. McCaffrey was able to do a lot there when he had time and when he was healthy. Yeah. So, but James Conner's not. He needs more help, and he's not going to get as much help there in Carolina.
Yeah, I'm same thing. I mean, James Conner in Carolina. Honestly, I look at it and I think it's another. I think he could certainly score some touchdowns in there, but he's a goal line kind of guy in that sort of situation. I think again he'd be splitting time with Hubbard, especially. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey in Arizona, like you said, I think it is the final piece they need. I'm talking about. Arizona goes probably 12-5, maybe 13-4, winning the division, right? Maybe even gets that first round bye, possibly the number 1 seed. He makes that offense extremely dangerous and helps to stretch the field because you can line him up at receiver, you can put him in at the running back. He can do multiple things. I think if he goes to Arizona, I think there's a very real possibility this guy becomes another 1,000-yard receiving back. I honestly think he could do it again because of how good that offense is. And if it's Cliff Kingsbury calling that offense, there's a lot of opportunities for him to run the screen, run the wheel route, run into the flats, and he can just make plays going up the field. I think it's a real, and I even think this might be a real possibility that Arizona goes, I mean, they said he wasn't available, but if we make the right offer, could he be the guy? Kenyon Drake was really good with him. I'm just saying, I mean, if they would have had Kenyon Drake with James Conner, maybe it's a different story. I honestly think it could be the right move. So, but next we've got Christian McCaffrey on the Miami Dolphins. So this was a running attack by committee. All those stats, by the way, you see up there.
Trash.
You see up there. Most of it was actually handled by Myles Gaskin. He had 612 rushing yards, only 3 touchdowns. He actually led the running backs in receiving as well with 420 receiving yards and then also had 4 touchdowns. So he had more receiving touchdowns than rushing ones. So for the sake of the argument, because he's the leading rusher on the team, unfortunately, Myles Gaskin goes to Carolina and Christian McCaffrey goes to Miami. What are your thoughts about this one, man?
I mean, Myles Gaskin will be a piece to a committee again in Carolina and probably be about the same. Not very good. And McCaffrey will just make Miami a whole hell of a lot better.
Absolutely.
No more committee. All those backs that they brought in and had trouble with, didn't get much out of. That would change with him there.
Yeah.
And he'll do the same. And probably, I mean, Tua, I don't think Tua is all that great, but he's better than anything that Carolina's had. So I think with that, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater that year was probably better than Tua. I'd probably say almost better than Tua.
That's fair. That's fair to say.
They're about this running the same level right now. So, I think he'll be doing Christian McCaffrey things in Miami. And running all over, and the warm weather. Well, I mean, he's got warm weather in Carolina as well, but I think it's about the same for him. He's going to be really good, and again, some solid weapons on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just say this honestly: McCaffrey on Miami, that team may actually make the playoffs. I'm not win the division, but I'm thinking getting to the wild card. Tua is your quarterback. He's dumping the ball off a lot to Christian McCaffrey. He's the new top weapon.
Oh yeah.
You're looking at a lot of screen passes, a lot of setting up the the running back at wide receiver. You're looking at a lot of opportunities to get the ball in Christian McCaffrey's hand. I do think he makes that team a whole lot better. Absolutely. Myles Gaskin's just a guy. Unfortunately, he's just a guy. Will he get used in Carolina? Maybe. But again, Hubbard's there. And if you're talking about the team right now, Hubbard's clearly going to start over that guy. Absolutely. He might be a third down back that catches passes every now and then, but that's probably the bulk of his game at that point. There's not much that Myles Gaskin can do that's going to hurt a team, unfortunately, at this point. Christian McCaffrey, I think he has another great year in Miami, probably leads the team in rushing. Miami's probably a playoff team, probably 11-6, maybe 10-7. They've got a good shot to make the playoffs at that point. All right, next, the Washington football team. This actually has been predicted by many to be a team that actually may be taking a shot at Christian McCaffrey, possibly as a. I don't know if it would be a with Gibson because he is their top runner right now, but it sounds like it may be instead of. I don't know if they're necessarily sold on Gibson. So, Drew, the question of Christian McCaffrey goes to the Washington football team, and our good old friend Gibson, Antonio Gibson, my best buddy, who really did some work for me in the fantasy football. Thanks, guy. He goes to the Carolina Panthers. What are your thoughts on that?
See, I think Antonio Gibson got kind of had a hit out of rough year. He had that stress fracture in his shin all year, and it hurt him. Like, he struggled. You could tell.
Yeah.
He had his games though where he looked really good. He looked like that player that they hoped he would be. Ron Rivera, of course, used to coach Carolina, so he knows Christian McCaffrey very well.
Yeah.
Which kind of surprises me why they didn't want to try and use him a little more Christian McCaffrey like. They didn't throw him as many passes. Yes, they had J.D. McKissick, who's a very good pass catcher, but that's what Gibson does best. Is he used to be a receiver in Kentucky, so I figured that they would use him more in that area. So getting Christian McCaffrey here, I would assume that they would use him more like that.
Right.
So I think he's one of the top backs in the league, if not the best back in the league when healthy. And so he's going to make any team better. Yeah. So he's going to make Washington better and maybe push them to the playoffs.
Okay.
As far as I think Antonio Gibson will do well. He'll be their lead back in Carolina if he's there. He'll be doing the same. Yeah. I think Washington's got a better line than Carolina, but I think Antonio Gibson is going to do around about the same things because you see how they're using Christian McCaffrey when healthy there. I think they're going to use him more that way, and he's going to be catching more passes and doing more of like Christian McCaffrey-like things there. Yeah. Just not quite as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. Christian McCaffrey obviously going to Washington. Ron Rivera knows him better than anybody else. He's the guy that drafted him for crying out loud. Totally would be, I could see that being another 1,000-yard season for him, especially with Taylor Heineke throwing in the ball. You're not telling me Heineke's using him a lot in the passing game. Him and Terry McLaurin, plus if Logan Thomas were to be healthy at that point, and Curtis Samuel, that actually sounds like a pretty decent offense right there. I mean, and having Brandon Sheriff kind of anchor your offensive line, that's a team that I think, like you said, might be 9-8, 10-7, playoff bound. Really good. I think there's a really good unit you're talking about right there. There's a lot of passing opportunities, and there's a lot of great opportunities to run the ball as well. As far as Antonio Gibson goes, not talking about crazy pants. Antonio Gibson in Carolina, I think it's the same thing you see in Arizona with James Conner and Chase Edmonds. It's a lot of splitting the carries between those two. Chuba's a little bit more of a faster back, a little more speed guy. Antonio Gibson's more of a slam back, so I would expect a lot of that kind of back and forth on that one. So, but I don't think I think Carolina would probably be 500 or just under 500 with those two, but I don't think they'd be anywhere near the playoffs with them for sure. So, all right, and we would do Denver obviously because a lot of people were saying, what if he came back home to Denver? But come on, Denver's not going to trade for him. They've got two backs who almost hit 1,000 yards apiece. Yeah, not going to happen. Maybe some other time we'll do this, but folks, because of time, we got to get out of here. And that's going to do it for us. Obviously, again, very quick one because kids got to get in here. They got to learn their stuff. So, Drew, as always, it's always a pleasure to have you on, to be able to talk football. It's always great to be able to play these games with you, man. It's always a pleasure.
Yep. It's always fun to be here. Thanks again. And, it's always fun mixing players up and trying something new.
Oh, absolutely. And trust me, guys, we got your list. We know there's a lot of people you want us to do for the NFL and a few other sports as well. We'll get to those, absolutely. Drew, let the people know where they can find you, listen to you, all that good stuff,
You can find me right here Wednesday and Thursday at 5:30 to 6:30, and find me on Instagram at d.gwil25 and Facebook at Drew Gwillem.
There you go, guys. And real quick, King B-Max said the Antonio Gibson one, I think, at the end with Washington, he said, I think this is one swap there. Both teams actually equally are fine with it. So I agree with that. It absolutely could work out for both of them. You guys can find me. I'm at TheFluffyGuru on Twitter. I'm at King. Jeez. Sorry, King B-Mac. I almost stole your name there. You guys can find me at Boom Crew Captain on Instagram. Most of the time, that's guy. You guys can hit me up with messages and all those good stuff. Guys, obviously, we are streaming on Twitch, but you guys can find the link to that at the Facebook page. That's facebook.com/TeamXBombSports. Follow it, like it, where you guys can get the Twitch link so you guys can watch us live. and that's on Twitch at twitch.tv/xbombsports, where we go live every Wednesday, today, and Thursday, tomorrow, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Also, too, guys, follow us on our social media and at XBomb Sports on Instagram and Twitter, where you get updates for the show and everything that we do on there as well throughout the day. Also, too, if you want any questions or comments, anything like that, email us at xbsportsofficial@gmail.com. We want to hear from you guys as well. Also, too, check out the amazing radio show, the Blow the Whistle. My God, I almost forgot the name. Blow the Whistle. You guys can catch the radio show. It's myself, David, and Tyler on the radio show on sportsdownchicago.com every Monday, 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time. Or catch us on the TV show as well every Tuesday, 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Central Time. We have changed the time, 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Check us out, guys, on the TV side. Also, too, you want to check out an amazing podcast to get yourselves motivated throughout the day because we all know Mondays suck and we need a little bit of help. Check out Monday Motivation with Hannah B. It's a wonderful podcast that can keep yourself up and bright. It's on Spotify, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and all the other podcast platforms as well. And as well, you can listen to her at 102.3 XLC, the afternoon drive, 3 to 7 p.m. That's when she's going live. So she's live right now for at least 30 more minutes. Give her a call, give her a hit up, say what up from the Boom Crew. Make sure to check her out there as well, guys. Also, too, check out the boys at the Parlay. That's right. It's our own Tony Lopez along with former Chicago Bull and former professional boxer Kendall Gill, as those guys talk about everything in the boxing world, MMA and combat sports as well. So check them out at theparlay.com. And finally, if you guys are looking for any of your fantasy football needs, if you need anything to help you get throughout the day for the fantasy football season for next year, fear not, because we have the Fake Football Guys on YouTube. That's right, just Google the Fake Football Guys and you will find their channel pop up on YouTube, where our guys JC and Dustin give you all the information that you need for fantasy football to become a champion. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it a day. We will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, much love. Peace out, Boom Crew.